This is just a quick tip on why it's best to leave commas on the last element of an array. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain in a minute when I show you an example. And then we'll look at my 2 reasons why I always do this. Whether or not you agree, that's completely fine, but this really helps me just day-to-day development. So by leaving a comma on the end of the last element of an array, I essentially mean when you have some kind of an array. So for example, a variable called user here, which is we're assigning an array to. Let's say we have something like a username here. And then obviously we have a comma here because we want to create a new element. And then we have something like name. Like so. So usually you'd think, oh, to tidy things up, let's get rid of this last comma. If we do have a comma here, it doesn't generate a syntax error. That's perfectly valid. But this would normally be something you'd write. You'd leave off the last comma. So the reason I don't do that is twofold. So first of all, I'm going to just quickly commit these changes. So we have modified index.php. All I'm doing is just committing it to a repository, which we'll see in just a moment. I'll just say update, and let's go ahead and push that up. Okay, so if we go over to this repository now, you can see that we have this content just in here. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to go ahead and add another element to this, and I'm going to push it back up to the repository. So I'm adding on, say, age. Okay, so let's keep this last comma just in here for the sake of it. So let's go ahead and add that in. Let's go ahead and just commit this. We'll just do the same message and we'll push this up again. Okay, so let's head over to here then. And you'll see that we have, if we just head over to this latest commit, you can see here that minus the no new line at end of file, we actually have, it kind of looks like we've got 2 changes here. You can see this line here highlighted in green, which was there before, and you can see the new line here highlighted in green. Now to me, to first look at this, I kind of draw my attention to this line here when there's not really a need to draw my attention to this line, simply because the only thing that was added here was the comma. So it kind of adds more additions to this commit, and that can be pretty annoying. If we hadn't of, or if we had a comma in there, so for example, if we go ahead and just add another element, and we go ahead and commit this up as well, you'll see that we have the following. So I've added a new line in. I already had a comma on the end of this last line, and it's extremely clear that all I've done is added this line. So that's one reason. That's probably the main reason. It just gets a little bit annoying if you have too many additions here, and it's hard to focus on what's been added. The second one is extremely straightforward. I use a lot of keyboard shortcuts within Sublime, or I guess you may if you have another text editor. So the reason that it's best to leave a comma on the end for me is because if I need to add a new element to this array, all I can do is just duplicate that line down and I'm done. I don't need to do anything else. Now, if, for example, you wanted to not add commas on the last element of an array, you would be in a situation where you would have to duplicate this down. You'd have to add this comma in here, and that's pretty annoying. It's just another step. And obviously, depending on how much you're adding to arrays, this could probably get a little bit slow and kind of slow you down. You might not think so, but it's just a little bit annoying. So if I always keep a comma on the last element of my array, I can duplicate this down as much as I want, fill in my content. I don't need to do anything here. I don't need to add or remove anything. And then when I create my commit through Git or whatever version control you're using, you'll see that we don't have the annoying problem of it highlighting 2 lines as an addition. So they're my 2 reasons for keeping a comma on the last element of an array. You may have other reasons why you do this, and I'd love to hear them, so please get in touch. But otherwise, there's just a quick tip to hopefully save you a little bit of time and hassle.